Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Hot Toys Secret Base figure preview video. Before we begin, I want to say a massive thank you to Ryan Kirkwood for going out in person and snapping these gorgeous high-res pictures. Show Ryan some love in the comments below because without him, this series literally wouldn't be possible. If you are looking to pre-order your very own quarter-scale Iron Man Mark 6, I'm getting mine from Pop Collectibles. As always, do your own research, make sure you are comfortable before buying. I have included the link to their site in the description below, along with the discount code Justin's Collection, for 5% off your order if you do decide to buy from them. While you're down there, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, so you're notified as soon as a brand new figure preview video goes live on the channel. It's been a while since a quarter scale figure was announced, so yeah, I guess it's about time that we get another one, and being Hot Toys, it makes sense that it's Iron Man. At the very least, we are slowly but surely working our way through the Hall of Armor Marks 1 through 7 in quarter scale. We're still missing Marks 1, 2, 5, and 7, so 4 left to go. I'm pretty sure Hot Toys are working on it. He does come with a full array of hands, and just some massive laser beam effects. You will see there is one on him in the display. You'll see it when we pan up in just a second. I particularly like the very subtle silver chipping just on the high spots of the armor. It's not necessarily battle damaged, it's more so just some extra surface detail. Now, I'm a huge fan of the Mark 6. The triangular arc reactor always gets me. The reason that Hot Toys decided to make this figure now rather than doing the 2 or the 7 or even the 1, which is going to require the most amount of effort in quarter scale, is because it's pretty much identical to the Iron Man Mark 4 that we just got in quarter scale. It just has some color swapped pieces, some battle damage parts, and the new chest plate. Everything else is kind of identical. The display base though is new, and we'll get to that as well. There is even more surface detail on these pieces for his thighs and the outside of his leg. That's more so just some soot and dirt and grime. The battle damage pieces that are on him are actually properly battle damaged. And I'm glad they're going as deep as they are with the battle damage this time. They're not just doing a battle damaged chest plate and helmet and calling it a day, they're going full on battle damaged. And this is what I like to see from Hot Toys. I don't just want some surface level stuff like, as I said, the chest plate and the helmet. Don't be scared, Hot Toys. Go all in with the battle damage. Yes, you might potentially get more people buying a figure if you do a normal version and then a battle damage version down the line. But I'm willing to bet that way more people will pick up an ultimate version of, say for instance, an Iron Man Mark III diecast with a full battle damage look. That way you're getting the battle damage people and the people who collect clean Iron Man figures just in the one package, if that makes sense. Now the helmet, with the scratches across the faceplate and the dent up the top, gorgeous. We will have to wait and see if the battle damage comes out looking as sharp as it does here on display with the final product version. Often the battle damage will soften because this is like a master sculpt and then they take a cast of it, which means the details do flatten out and become a little bit more smooth. I'm hoping that doesn't happen because right now you can even see the understructure of the Iron Man faceplate poking through. And yes, you don't have to go with the battle damage faceplate. If you want to go for a clean one, totally an option. Now, the display base is all new and specific to this quarter scale Mark 6 at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point down the line we get a War Machine Mark 1 in quarter scale. That thing would be an absolute freaking unit. It is, of course, a hammer drone. It's charred, it looks like it's melted, it's completely destroyed, and it is awesome. This display base, outstanding. In terms of the looks, in terms of functionality, Hot Toys tends to be going way more form over function these days with their display bases. What do I mean by that? Well, there's not really a flat area that's wide enough for him to stand on with both feet. You are going to have to constantly have him with one leg up or down on this hammer drone. So it's a touch more tricky to get to work in a dynamic pose, is what I'm trying to say. It looks great, it's just more cumbersome. There's also a piece of the hammer drone around the back for good measure, so there's hammer drone around the front and the back as well. I'm pretty bummed out that we never got the hammer drones in 6 scale. Hot Toys made 1,000,001 Iron Man suits, but they didn't complete the House Party Protocol set and they didn't give us the hammer drones from Iron Man 2. Time is not up though, there is plenty left on the clock for Hot Toys to go ahead and give us some die-cast hammer drones. I know more than a few people would be all in on them, me included. So see what I mean with the display base? Like there's this little slit in the middle, there's hammer drone front and back, and that's where he has to stand, and there's still a step up on that flat area anyway. So he will look a touch awkward unless you use the specific places where his feet are supposed to go. So that means you are being sort of told how you're supposed to pose him. I don't really love that. I would like for the display base to be a touch more versatile. Still dig the way it looks, just not the way it works. Now the finish here, absolutely beautiful. It's got that satin finish rather than the high gloss. This is accurate to the Mark 6. Some people remember these suits like these super glossy, vibrant things, but in the movies, they weren't. They were always this satin finish to the Hot Rod Red. And I'm glad that Hot Toys are now doing away with the high gloss and going for a much more movie-accurate aesthetic. Now, the battle damage pieces, you are starting to see them come into play, and with all of that extra surface detail, the little chips and scratches here and there, even the panels that are clean, in air quotes, do blend in with the battle damage ones. Now, the battle damage ranges from this panel right here, where there's some light scuffs and dents, to other parts where they're just completely destroyed. They have been ripped up and whipped by whiplash, like this panel right here. Great timing. You can even see the circuitry poking through underneath that gold panel. Now, you can see a seam line where the two panels would meet. I'm okay with that because the suit would actually be comprised of multiple parts and panels of armor coming together to make up the thigh. So for me, that's okay. If you haven't already, go ahead and check out my review for the quarter scale Mark IV with gantry. That thing was a freaking beast, and it's 99% the same figure as this guy. So if you want to know how the engineering works and where the bits and pieces move and how the hip skirts function and the drop down parts, that suit will give you a very good indication as to how this one is going to turn out. You also have that subtle gold pinstriping for the ab sections, which is just one of my favorite little details on the 4 and 6. I am noticing some gold scorch marks around the arc reactor, which is a very unique little detail that I don't think I've seen Hot Toys do before. You also have the flaring out panels around the sides of the chest plate. We saw that with the Mark IV, so no surprise they're back again. And a super well detailed arc reactor tucked underneath that glossy clear panel. You have some bullet holes and just all these little greebly pieces sticking out the side. They're also made of metal, currently for this prototype version. We have seen this type of battle damage before, actually, in 1/6 scale though, with the die-cast Mark VII. The battle damage helmet for that figure did have these little metal pieces sticking out the side. So I am confident that Hot Toys will try their best to get this into the final production version. But it's been a long time since that die-cast Mark VII, and safety standards being what they are these days, that you can't even include button cell batteries anymore, having some metal pieces sticking out the side of a chest plate, we'll have to wait and see how that goes. I certainly hope they do make it into final production though, because they add so much depth and they're nice and shiny because they are real metal. He does have the pop-out dart projectors and the rockets up the top there as well on his traps. The way some of this stuff works, instead of going with just a million swap-out panels, having it flip out instead, that was perfect on the quarter scale Mark IV, and then of course it all transfers over to the Mark VI. As I've already said, you're probably getting sick of hearing me say it, this is the same suit, just with some different parts and panels. Now, the laser beam effect in 6 scale is massive. In quarter scale, well, you guessed it, it's even longer, so I don't know how many people have room to display these laser beam effects, but seeing as though the Mark VI was the first suit to introduce these, and they were a one-off, so he could only use them once versus later on where he used them just infinitely, it's a bit of a special effect piece to have, so maybe I will consider using it on my quarter scale Mark 6. It's unknown at this point, we will just have to wait and see. Now, there are some gaps at the shoulders still, and I think that's down to the pose. If you push the shoulders in because they can be pulled out for maximum range of motion, there shouldn't be massive gaps like that. The shoulder pads are also articulated so you can just pose them over the top of those gaps and try and fiddle with stuff to get it to be as seamless as possible. Every time we get a new Tony Stark head sculpt from Hot Toys, it seems like it's a roll of the dice. It could be totally awesome, like this one is, or it could be maybe not so much, like we saw with the recently announced suit-up version of Tony Stark from Avengers 1. This one, though, you don't have to worry about it because it is incredible. The likeness to RDJ, I mean, look at that head sculpt. That is Robert Downey Jr. They've added this fringe around the front, so there's depth with the little strands hanging over his forehead. There's almost a sweatiness to it, and seeing as though this is him mid-battle in Iron Man 2, I love that about it. The moving eyes are a massive win because you can alter the expression just by moving the eyes up and down. And the stubble on his chin and for the moustache, perfect. Skin texture, super HD. This is undeniably the best Tony Stark head sculpt in quarter scale that I have ever seen. Now, some of the previous versions were quite good. They're just not quite at the level that this one is. I'm torn because this head sculpt is that good, but I like to display all of my Iron Man suits with the helmet on, so now I don't know. This straight up looks like a picture of the dude in the suit. Whereas with the helmet on, it's arguably more badass, so just let me know in the comments below, help me out. Would you display this guy with the helmet on, or with the helmet off? Also, I wonder how long it's going to be before we see this head sculpt shrunk down to 6 scale. Fingers crossed not long, because this is an absolute banger. Now, I've pre-ordered my copy of the Mark 6 in quarter scale from Pop Collectibles. As always, do your own research, make sure you are comfortable before buying. I have popped the link to their site in the description below, along with the discount code Justin's Collection, for 5% off your order if you do decide to buy from them. While you're down there, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe will catch you in the next video.